Good morning, Facebook land. It's Caroline Carrington, and I'm coming to you live from one of the beautiful parks in Piedmont, California. I am going to do my best to avoid the wind blowers this morning. Those are one of my pet peeves, wind blowers, but I'm in this gorgeous park. Let me show you if I can flip the camera around and you can see this beautiful park in Northern California. The park I was hoping to take you to, unfortunately, is full of leaf blowers, so I'm avoiding them. But it's gorgeous here. It's a little bit of a gray day. But I've had something on my heart for the last few days and really wanted to create a Facebook Live to share with you all. So some of you may know I was in Oregon, in Southern Oregon, in a community that was really about fostering excellent communication skills and supporting us in being in our hearts and giving us tools to really support community in working well. And I lived on a hippie commune in Australia years ago, and one of the things that didn't work was we didn't have enough tools to actually help the community be sustainable and to grow. And the community that I was just on has many more of those tools, and I want to share some of those with you today. It's especially on my heart because I came out of Oregon. Thanks for the love, Michelle. Feel free to send hearts and likes across the screen. And you can also pop in the comments where you are tuning in from, which city you're tuning in from around the world. But so part of why I'm really wanting to make this Facebook Live is I came out of this beautiful hot space that I'd been in for 16 days with people practicing loving and clear communication, even when we were triggered, and I got back to Facebook and the news. And honestly, my heart felt sick. And I don't pretend to understand all the dynamics that are happening in Charlottesville. I don't pretend to be an expert on politics. I'm not that. But my work in the world is about my social activism. And in the community that I was on, we were really using these tools in a very effective way, even in incredibly triggering situations, to resolve conflict. And some of what I'm going to give you today is hopefully going to help the conflict be resolved before it's gotten too big. And, you know, a lot of my approach in the world is actually on the micro level to work on ourselves, because I believe we can be in charge of changing ourselves. And when we do that, we can also invite our partners and our families to change, and then maybe our friends and our inner circle. And if we're lucky, we can really have an impact on the larger world as a whole. So the tools that I am going to share with you today, I actually learned years ago through an organization called the Human Awareness Institute, or HI. And the first tool I'm going to share is something called clearing a paranoia. And it's one of my favorite tools because so often we actually making up stories in our head about reality, and it's not even true. So the way it works is you go up to the person that you are running the story or thinking these thoughts about. Like the first time I received this, the person came up to me and said, are you willing to or are you available for me to clear a paranoia? And I said yes. And he said to me, I think you're avoiding me because I'm a South African and you're a South African too. And there was nothing further from the truth. I had just been engaging with other people at the workshop that day. So we could clear it up right there and then. But the idea is that you actually look inside yourself to see if there is any kernel of truth in what they're saying. And if there is, you can share that. But I find for myself in 95%, maybe even 99% of the situations, when I'm clearing a paranoia, it's really just a made-up story in my head. So I would go up to somebody and say, I have a paranoia. May I clear that with you? If the person says no, then I can try another time. But if they say yes, then I tell them what's alive for me. And then they give feedback on whether they think about it first, and then give feedback on whether that's true for them or not. That's a really simple way to let go of our stories that I love. Let's take a breath together. And then another way that I really enjoy is to clear something called a withhold. And a withhold is really a one-way communication where you are wanting to share with somebody something that is stopping you from connecting with them, something that's keeping you out of love and out of connection with them. And it's really important that your reason for wanting to clear this withhold is because you actually want to join. You actually want to share more intimacy and connection with them. So if it's somebody that you never want to speak to again after that, that's probably a dumping, and we're not inviting dumping, right? We're talking about clearing something, kind of like clearing the pipes up when there are blockages in your connection or in your friendship. And so clearing a withhold, once again, you go up to the person and you say, I have a withhold. Are you ready to hear it? Then the person checks in with themselves. Are they ready to hear it? And are they willing to hold it? Because this is a one-way communication for now. The only response from the person receiving your withhold is thank you. There's no conversation. You're just getting clear. And if there is more to discuss, you can discuss that at a later time, but not in that same moment. Getting distracted with all the dog walkers in the park this morning. So, oh, great, Michelle. I'm really glad that you're realizing there's something you want to clear, a withhold you want to clear. So often we have them. And, you know, if we can clear things up right in the beginning before they fester, we can actually save ourselves a whole lot of heartache down the line. So clearing a withhold. First, check in and see if they're ready and available to hear your withhold, and if they're willing to hold it until you're ready to come back. And it would be nice to give them a reasonable time, like maybe within 24 hours. Asking them to hold something for up to a week may be quite long, so you may want to set a time frame. But it's best not to do it right away so the person can really sit with what you're holding. And the other reason to check if they're ready is if they're like in the middle of something, or if they're overwhelmed, and if they're not able to hear you in that moment and be grounded enough to receive what you're sharing with them, then it may be better to do it at a different time. But if somebody continues to refuse clearing the withhold, then I would really look at that. Because it is about you wanting connection. So you say, are you available for me to clear a withhold? The receiver listens in and hopefully says yes. Most times in my experience, I've received a yes. It's great if everybody takes a nice deep breath and grounds. And then the person shares whatever it is they've been withholding with the other. And sometimes the person receiving has no idea that this is even an issue for the person. Or sometimes they know. I cleared a withhold with somebody at camp, and they knew that they'd said something quite bitchy to me. And when I invited them to clear the withhold, they said, yes, I know what it is you're going to talk about. But then we cleared it up, and it was actually really lovely. I cleared my withhold, and then I said to the person, if you want to come back, whenever you are ready, come and find me. And she found me the next day, and then she explained a little more what was up. And there was some envy, and there was, I think, even some jealousy going on. And she explained why she had projected with a bitchy comment on me. So glad you're enjoying this practice, Matthew. And yeah, it's really great to use this as an ongoing daily practice. I actually use it regularly in my personal life. And then there's one more that I hadn't didn't learn from High, but I did learn at this community in Southern Oregon. And this is about clearing an unsaid. And it's really helpful, whichever of these tools you're using, if you actually tell the person up front what it is you're wanting to do. Are you clearing a paranoia? Which means there's a discussion. Are you clearing a withhold, where there's no discussion in that moment? The receiver just says thank you, and you can discuss it more at a later date. Or if you're clearing an unsaid could be something positive, or it could be something challenging for the receiver to hear. And when I'm offered to hear an unsaid, I actually ask, is this something that's going to be challenging for me, to help me decide if I'm in the right space to hear it or not? And it could be an appreciation, for example. It's wonderful to offer appreciations to people. So an appreciation I have for all of you, if you're willing to hear it. You guys can all take a breath and check in and see. But an appreciation I have for all of you is the way we get to build global community. And we get to connect literally on a daily basis via my Facebook feed. And I appreciate all the likes and all the comments. We have this growing community that really does have an impact on people's lives. I recently had somebody from the World Health Organization who I just had met through Facebook. And she came out to California and was able to come to 2 of my workshops. And that all started from Facebook. So she got to learn directly from me. And we only met because of Facebook. So I'm very grateful for the community building tool that Facebook is, and for each and every one of you that chooses to engage. I'll go into your question in a moment, Michelle, but I'm going to finish explaining the process. So another example of a withhold could be something that just was left unsaid, maybe incomplete, or something that, that you still feel is keeping the connection blocked, but then it becomes a discussion between the two of you to make sure that you're both hearing and understanding each other. So Michelle is asking, what's the difference between a withhold and an unsaid? And I love that question, because an unsaid becomes a conversation, and there's feedback between the giver and the receiver, or the person offering the unsaid and the person receiving it. And the withhold, the only response from the receiver in that moment is thank you, because that's about the giver or the person offering that really just getting clear and clearing the blockage, whatever's keeping you from that person, whatever's making you avoid them. And it could be an example like, when you pushed in line with me for dinner yesterday, it really bugged me and I felt left out. And the response is thank you. So it's bringing some light and awareness to an action or to an interaction to help you feel more connected. And so Jordan's saying, yes, somebody you really love has shut down communication, and it really hurts. It really is hard when people ask for space. And sometimes that, I always want to make things better right in the moment. And sometimes people aren't ready for that in the moment. So giving them space can be a really great idea. Maybe you can go and get some support from, either from a professional, a therapist, or like a dakini like myself, or a coach, or your circle of friends. But it could be great to ask them how much space they need, and actually put a time limit on that, because then there's an opportunity where you can come back into connection again after that. And knowing that there's a sort of a time frame helps me. And then you can always reevaluate and decide if you want to be in connection or not. I actually have some friends that have done that after breakups. They're like, we're not going to, we're going to give ourselves space for a month or 2 months, and then we're going to check in after that time frame and see where we're at and decide how we want our relationship to be. So while while I know these tools are actually really little and they start on the micro level, if we let things fester, they actually become bigger and bigger things. And I feel pretty, wow, what's even the word? I feel pretty inadequate in terms of what can be done around the Charlottesville, about what happened in Charlottesville. And I know my work touches people's lives around the world, and I know it can have a big impact on each individual life for those that follow me. But this is my social activism, and I decided I wanted to make this video so that we can start on the personal level, making it easier to talk to each other, making it easier to clear up things that are holding us back from being in connection and being in community with each other, and finding ways back to love. Because I think the only thing that's helped me deal with this tragedy is the fact that I came out of this beautiful field of love, and it's really been hurting my heart how much othering there is and blame of everybody. I don't want to comment too much on the politics because I really know I feel quite inept at talking about that. But I am a really strong communicator, and I am about supporting more intimacy and connection. And if we start making a difference in our world and reaching out to others to truly connect, I honestly believe this will change the world. So, I have an invitation for you. I recommend that you go out in your world today and clear up at least one withhold, and perhaps also one unsaid. Trying out the methodology that I suggested in this video. You're welcome to rewatch it. You're welcome to share it with your friends so that they can learn this too. And then please share how that went for you in the comments below so we can all learn as a community together. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. This is kind of a shorter Facebook Live because I've got to go and meet Marsha Baczynski at the airport today. So I'm sending lots of love to you. For those that want more global action, I actually posted, in response to Charlottesville, I actually posted a blog by Marsha. I think I can call it a blog. It was really her newsletter on my Facebook feed yesterday. So if you want more global things to do that are going to reach the macro level, there are some great tools there as well. Please keep practicing wonderful self-care. Oh, Julia just joined us. Love you, Julia. Glad I'm going to see you in Oregon next week. Julia and I are both headlining at the Oregon Tantra Festival. And that's another way we're going to touch lives. Thank you, everybody, for joining in and for your questions. And I will join you on Facebook Live again very soon. Lots of love. Namaste. And have a beautiful day.